other speakers? I'll put the vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I did not move that says.
You're not up there for moving it.
I'll call for a division, Mr. Chair.
Division?
Thank you.
Can we just check?
We're going on the
Which
amendment.
one we're voting on first?
We're voting on Councillor Holst's amendment, seconded by Councillor Wayne Walker,
Oh, okay.
that the Regional Strategy and Policy Committee approve the council's submission reflected,
What?
it should be
Approve that.
reflected in the proposed Auckland Unitary Plan provisions relating to genetically modified organisms as detailed in the documents tabled by staff. That's what we're voting on. Okay, Madam Secretary?
Councillor Anai?
No.
Councillor Casey?
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore?
No.
Councillor Cooper?
No.
Councillor Darby?
Four.
Councillor Fletcher?
4.
Deputy Mayor Hulse?
Aye.
Councillor Crum?
4.
Councillor Lee?
Aye.
Councillor Penrose?
No.
Sir John Walker?
No.
Sorry, what was the vote?
No.
No, thank you. Councillor Wayne Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Webster?
No.
Member Wilcox? Chair?
No.
It was lost 7-8, or 8-7.
So with that, we go back to the standard motion.
I didn't move.
And I've got there that the delegation, that authorise the delegation of any final changes of the submission to the chair of the committee, Councillor Bill Cashmore and Councillor Wayne Walker.
Oh, I see.
The minor changes, could we final minor changes?
Oh, no, minor changes, eh?
So final minor changes.
Can we have a division?
That'll be an interesting meeting.
Vision?
Councillor Anai?
No.
Councillor Casey?
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore?
No.
Councillor Cooper?
No.
Councillor Darby?
4.
Councillor Fletcher?
4.
Deputy Mayor Hulse?
Aye.
Councillor Crum?
No.
Councillor Lee?
Aye.
Councillor Penrose?
No.
Councillor Sir John Walker?
No.
Councillor Wayne Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Webster?
No.
Member Wilcox?
No.
You need to.
Chair?
It
Yes.
fails.
It was lost 7-8.
What? So we're not making a submission?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to
It's a
move.
dysfunctional council.
Oh, this is
Mr.
absolute
Chair,
nonsense.
It's
I'd like to move. I'd like to move
Most of you didn't vote for the LTP.
that it be noted that the Auckland Council has no interest in submitting to the proposed National Environmental Standard for plantation forestry.
That's not true. We
Well,
just
that's
want
not-
it to
I don't
be,
think
that's
that's
not
true.
true.
Well, we don't have a submission because you've just voted it down.
Yeah, well, lucky we've got an
Exactly, like
LTP because
Order,
we
order.
all,
I'll second
the
Councillor
majority
Darby's
voted for that.
motion.
You for God's sake.
I'll second
yourself,
Councillor Darby's
Dragon.
motion. We might as well put it on the table.
No, that's rubbish. Can we do something?
Well, we don't
to-
have an interest. We've just voted it down.
Doesn't the chairman of the committee have a responsibility
I would
to
have thought
support
so.
council policy? What are you doing there, George?
What are you talking about, Councillor Lee?
Excuse me,
He voted for it.
he voted for it. Mr Lee,
I just talked to Mr. Kimpton.
I'm going to
there.
move that it be noted that Auckland Council has no interest in making a submission on the proposed National Environmental Standard for plantation forestry.
I'm happy to second.
Doesn't have to
I've
accept
already
it, do you,
seconded.
Mr. Chairman?
jeez, don't accept that.
And I'll speak to that, Mr. Chair.
Hang on,
It's
I'm
moved
going to talk to
and
Mr.
seconded.
Kimpton before I...
We can get a group of us together to work out by next Tuesday. Only Tuesday.
So in effect, the decision you've made is not to make a submission.
Not to make
and-
a submission.
This submission.
Order,
It's all in the
order,
country.
order, Councillor.
Can I, what date do submissions close? Can you-
7th.
The 11th of August. So in effect, unless we can modify the current submission
Yep,
and you review that and are able to meet together again and we get it onto an agenda and you then vote to make a submission between now and the 11th, you won't be making a submission. So that's the effect of the vote that you've just had for this moment in time. The other one, I'm just thinking out loud here. The other option is that, and I don't know how you would do this, but if you do want to make a submission but you're not satisfied with what you've got, that you delegate authority.
Yeah, light fizz, well, no chance at all.
So it's either no submission, you meet, or you're going to delegate authority. I think those are the only three options I can see, Councillor.
Delegate
Can I ask
authority.
a question, Mr Chair?
Councillor Halls?
I've just a question. I think it's completely untenable that on an issue of this degree of importance that we're not prepared to make a submission.
Right.
The bit that I want to ask my colleagues is, apart from the GMO issue, which was defeated and, you know, that, so be it, no, you know, I'm not going to carry on about that. So it's not going to have the GMO stuff in there that you don't like. I'm completely flummoxed about what people are disagreeing with. What's the issue? Because I'm not prepared to sit here and accept that we're not going to make a submission, the bulk of which I think is exceedingly well thought through and considered on an important issue, put together by all our expert staff. No one has explained to me, apart from GMOs, which I repeat are not in there now, what are you not happy with? And I would have to question, if you're not happy, well, what are you voting no for?
Well, that is issue that's just been raised is the really nub of this. The GMO issue is not part of the submission now.
No, it's not.
What's the
So,
problem?
well, can I just get, you know, some understanding around the table as to why people are not happy with the overall submission by itself? What's the problem with the submission? Can anyone answer that? And Councillor Cashmore.
Yes, thank you, Mr Chair. I'll just repeat what I said when I spoke earlier. It's about a collaborative approach that this council's been positioning itself all the way through, and maybe it's a new way of doing things, but it's certainly a better way of doing things. And I'm quite convinced that if we really put our heart to it, we can actually get together with representatives of the Forestry Association and knock together a submission that encompasses some of this work, but also puts the industry's balance to it as well. So we have an encompassing approach.
It's not just the
And Madam
industry.
Chair-
Well, can I do this? Can we, okay, so that's the
It's not
point.
it's not just the forestry industry. It's much broader than that. If we're going to engage, we need to engage with the community at large. We can't be
Mr.
selective
Chairman,
around a vested
sorry,
interest.
No,
group.
just
I
a
mean,
minute. Wayne is
this
talking.
is not about GMOs, quite right. This is about a submission that really, we've got a rural panel. If this was on disabilities or ethnic groups or whatever, and we hadn't run it past one of our panels, we would be getting hell from those people who are yelling at us now.
Yes,
We have got a
nothing
rural
about
panel,
us.
it hasn't come to there or discussed it. It's been put together without any input from the forestry industry, which we work with, or other people that we work with. We could have been put together with some of those, and I'm quite happy if Councillor Cashmore doesn't mind to get together with some of those, and Member Wilcox, who actually also has a lot to do with this. We heard before about TP 223, 2007. Things have moved on in the forestry industry since 2007. We've got we've done quite a bit of work through the unitary plan, but also we've got a much better handle on our rural areas and our elite soils and that sort of thing. And I just think it's a real shame that we didn't write the submission in collaboration with some of those people.
Okay, well, it seems that the sticking point is that we haven't consulted.
We're a regulator, for God's sake. Have people
Order,
forgotten that?
Councillor
And if
Lee,
it was
order.
something like
Regulator.
hysterical,
What are we doing here?
historical,
That's
if
the
it
only
was-
reason why we're here.
Councillor,
Regulator.
Councillor Casey.
If it
just to
was the
speak.
historic
No, Councillor
panel,
Webster, just
we'd-
let's have some order here, please.
screaming at us.
Councillor Casey.
I just want to restate that this is the current council position that we're putting to government. And that vote has meant that no position is going to government. And so, can we take the vote again? Do people actually understand that? If you want to relitigate our position, you can do that through any process of
Kathy,
council.
the
But this
sticking
is our
point-
current position.
The sticking point seems to be that we haven't
But it's our
spoken
current, regardless of who has been consulted or not, in the haste that the government demanded this of us, which they do all the time, in their haste, we have stated our position.
Well, the other thing
And that
would
vote
be,
means we are not going to state a position of this council. I find that completely untenable.
Excuse
other
me, Chair.
sorry?
If you'd like any clarification about what sort of industry has had in relation to this NES and with the council, industry and council have led to this document being produced, which is the NES. So industry have been along the whole way. The council is just responding as to what the NES's impacts would have on the Auckland Council's current way it manages forestry. It's that's how I see it.
But I think people are saying that the industry in Auckland, in our area, have not been engaged with at this stage.
Not as part of the submission, but they have been in the drafting of the
That your
environmental
position?
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Councillor Walker, what were you going to say?
I really just want to endorse what Tyler's saying. This is an identical process to the national standard around fresh water, around a number of policies where
That's
the
funny.
government's got
Is it funny?
a collaborative process.
Must be.
Mike Lee, Councillor Lee, is absolutely right. We are a regulator. If we have to go out and engage and consult, there's a whole broad community that we need to engage with, Forest and Bird, Environmental Defence Society, a whole lot of local groups, iwi and others. If we're going to do this on every submission, it's frankly an absolute impossibility. We have to rely on the policies that we've developed to date
Okay,
and our current position. If we do not rely on our current position, and we are going to relitigate and encourage submissions on all of these things, the cost to this council is going to be absolutely immense. And for those councillors that go on about costs and rates, I find that position that you are taking quite staggering.
Okay, Councillor Walker,
Don't really care what you think.
would it help if there was a letter qualifying the fact that we had not had time to consult when this, in preparing this document with interested, or people that are interested parties and stakeholders, would that help councillors to get around that point of lack of consultation with the industry? Would that help? Would that help, Councillor Cashmore, with you?
So my first position would be that we seek permission from the government for a deferment to do that work, to have that consultation, to have that talk. And if they say no, then your positioning there would be my second stance. Yes, I would agree with that.
Well, I can't, if we're going to try and finalise the matter at this meeting today, well, I can't get that sign off with Ministry of Primary Industries, whoever maybe the people there in that time frame. So we are really in a difficulty here. I would prefer that we do sign this off today with a proviso that this has not been the result of consultation with our stakeholders and industry representatives. Councillor Holtz.
Mr Chair, I find myself in a really funny position with this. I usually try and be, in the middle and trying to bring bits and pieces together, and with not a lot of success. But in this case, I think we have to actually understand who we're being. I've read the submission. This is not an anti-forestry submission. This isn't a stick it to the industry submission. This is quite rightly, remembering who we are as a unitary authority, we have some things to say about how this industry works, and it's absolutely our role to say some of this, we need to be the stewards of the environment, and we quite rightly need to say this within our submission. That's actually our job. The industry will say, we don't want to have anything about an ephemeral stream in there. We don't want to have such a tight degree of control around diverse species or whatever. That is absolutely their right. And then whoever's the boss of making the decisions about this, they're the people who bring this together. This is not our job to go to the industry and say, how do we bring together a submission that you're completely happy with? We've got a good relationship with them, but then we need to step back and go, but there's some stuff that simply belongs to us that we need to speak up for. And I think we've lost our way a little bit in our eagerness to be collegial. We need to be collegial
order,
with as
Mr.
much
Chairman.
as
No, order.
It's like the referee getting into the line out and playing for one side.
Excuse
Linda,
me,
just wait,
no,
wait.
it might actually help
Well,
sort
no,
this.
Penny, I mean, the
Okay,
deputy mayor's
I've
in-
called point of order, and if I call
Well,
point of order, can you ask me which number, and then I can explain why I'm doing it?
Why are you doing it then?
Okay, so it's 3.10.16, revocation or alteration of resolution at the same meeting.
Well,
So
okay,
if-
that is not a point of order. If
It
the
is.
deputy mayor is speaking,
Oh.
I don't, you've jumped in.
Okay,
and
fine.
Just wait.
We'll just keep going
wait.
to the next.
Carry on,
case.
Deputy
Just trying to
Mayor.
help you, Penny.
Don't
but
change
anyway,
your vote then.
Don't worry, I won't change my vote then.
Oh, well,
That was an
that's-
ability to
that's-
do that, but it's fine.
Helpful, that's not helpful.
Well, it is helpful.
Oh.
We might get through this.
Go on, Penny.
You would just,
Maybe if I stop
You
talking,
voted for it,
maybe if I
George.
stop talking, that'll be helpful. All I'm trying to say, Mr. Chair, is I just want us to consider really carefully who we're being in this debate, and if there is a helpful idea of how we can quickly go back and have another look, that would be great. And if Councillor Cooper's got a good idea, happy to hear it.
Okay, Councillor Cooper.
My hand up first.
oh, no, Councillor Fletcher had her hand up first. She wants to talk.
I've asked you to speak.
That's
You-
fine.
Just
No,
said
the
that,
chair.
sorry.
Sorry
I-
for speaking.
Sorry, it's just hard to know who's chairing.
No.
So,
I'm
Mr.
chairing.
Good, thank you, thank you. I thought you were, Mr. Chairman. Under that standing order, 3.10 point whatever, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. If during the course of the meeting fresh facts or information are received concerning a matter already resolved at the meeting, the previous resolution may be revoked or altered by the consent of 75% of the meetings then present and voting. So I feel that I have had fresh information that supports me voting for the motion, which would make it, you would then have a casting vote, Mr. Chairman. So if you were willing to put that again, and 75% of people were willing to do that,
No, look, I think, well, this would be, this
Up
would
to
be
you,
part
Mr.
of the
Chairman.
original submission. Well, what Mr. Kipton is, what we've just talked about is that we amend the submission to note that we have been unable to consult with our community and that we request to extend the submission period,
sorry, wrong one.
if they agree, by 1 month to allow this consultation to occur. But if they don't, the submission that we put in will obviously stand. Is that, how's that? We're indicating clearly that we have not consulted with our community due to the time frame. So how it nods around the table. Okay,
Stakeholders rather than community.
Councillor and I.
Yeah, I didn't ask, and I should have asked before. During the process, did you have discussions with all players in this to get this final conclusion that we've come up with?
On behalf of council, in the way that we regulate forestry,
With the others,
yes.
like the forestry and the others that I'd mentioned before?
Not on behalf of industry, because industry have been involved in developing the thing that we're providing a
So
submission
they're part
against.
of it? That's the
Yes.
question, basically. They've been part of it, so
They
they
have
fully
been for-
understand.
For over 5 years, yes.
Right, so,
And they have the ability to make their own submissions
and on
that.
that basis, Chair, then I do support a revote, because that's new information.
Okay, so we would, the motion would read that we approve Auckland Council's attached submission, including any amendments sought by the committee. Well, we approve Auckland Council on the proposed National Environment Standard for Plantation Forestry produced by Ministry of Primary Industries, noting that the submission, we have been unable to consult with our community due to the timeframes, and request to extend submission period by 1 month to allow this consultation to occur.
What if they say no?
How would that go?
What if they say no?
Well, the submissions, we're going to...
Submission stands.
With the submission stands, okay?
It's unacceptable, Mr.
We can
Chair.
shortcut that by doing
Better than
Councillor
none.
Cooper raised.
So, so who's going to second that? Councillor
I will.
Cooper, second that?
Point of order, Mr Chair. Don't you have to have the motion to revoke first?
We have to have a motion.
So I think we should do that.
If during the meeting you and Commission come to hand.
You do.
Revocation.
Sorry, I quoted the wrong one. I've got the old.
Okay, yeah, we do need 75% of the members present and voting to agree to the revocation or alteration. So,
Submission move, second.
that I'll move that we,
I'll second that.
we revoke the previous,
Seconded.
Point of order, Mr Chair.
point of order.
You need to have a division because you need
We will have
to
a
know
division.
that you've got 75%.
We'll have a
You're not going to
division.
know otherwise.
We're going to have a division on that, yes, certainly. So we're going to revoke the previous motion.
What a circus, honest to God.
Just carry on.
22 years as a councillor, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
I've seen a lot of circuses with you involved.
Okay. Order, you go through them.
Councillor Renai?
Aye.
Councillor Casey?
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore?
Yes.
Councillor Cooper?
Yes.
Councillor Darby?
For.
Councillor Fletcher?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hulse?
Aye.
Councillor Crum?
Or
Councillor Lee?
Aye.
Councillor Penrose? Sir John Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Wayne Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Webster?
no.
Member Wilcox?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
You're just making them do the maths, aren't you, on that?
Okay, so that's been,
14-1.
that's been,
That's
that's
75%.
taken the
Carried.
original motion off the table. So now we, rescinds that or revokes that. So now, can we get the wording right here?
Should be. No, give it to me.
No, Louise got it. Oh, he wants this last year. You got the wording up? Can you
No.
get the wording up?
Let's just go on to 16 while we're refereeing the great game, you know?
Can hear you. You might as well say it louder.
Well, you've already heard it, haven't you?
Right, order.
What, when you call me Baggett or when you refer to her?
Circus. The world is watching. I hope you're all very proud of yourself.
That doesn't make sense, Mr Chair.
Just give them the moment to get typed, please.
Mr Chair, while we're waiting, is that what we've said in motions where we've previously signed off submissions to select committees or government or?
I don't know.
To my knowledge,
I
it's
don't
not.
think that's probably, we probably haven't said that to that extent, I don't know, but there's obviously a desire around the table here for that consultation to have happened, so that's where we are.
Mr Chairman, just...
Councillor
Thank you.
Holston and Councillor
you.
Walker.
And, you know, in the spirit of glasnost, it's good. At least we're going to get a submission. That's great. I just wonder who the community are we going to
Not the
consult
community. Stakeholders. It's not the
and how. We
It's
just
not
need
the
to be a bit honest. You know, if we're
What
going to
about-
quickly pop back to the forestry industry, then, you know,
The rural panel, at
then
least.
that's okay. If it's the rural
The
panel,
rural panel and the forestry are on there,
the
not the whole
forestry
community.
will do their own submission. I'm just wanting to be a little bit clear about the process here. We cannot go running back to the forestry industry and saying, are you okay with our submission? Rural panel, we check in with, absolutely, but we don't do this with other submissions, and we certainly don't rush off to other agencies who are in a parallel fashion to us, particularly when we're commenting on their industry. I'm just, you know, trying to equate this with other submissions we've done. So, rural panel, let's partner with our rural panel, and I think that's a very, very good idea, and it would have been great if we'd done it on the way through. But, you know, as for rushing off to Uncle Tom Cobley and all now, I don't think that's
No.
useful.
We'll
Through you,
put
Mr.
down
Chair.
the rural panel,
All right.
rural advisory panel.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Through you, Mr Chair.
Yes,
we've actually got policies around how we engage and consult. The Environmental Defence Society, Forest and Bird, organisations like Greenpeace that are likely to flood us with, say, 10,000 submissions by email on the genetically modified organisms issue. They have an interest and they will want to engage around this. We're not in a position to close people out simply because it may be convenient.
Already did
So
though.
if we are going to engage and consult around something, then I say we have policies to do that and we need to allocate sufficient funding to do that. And I wonder whether the other councillors around the table are prepared for that. Because I would suggest that this is very much around posturing, it's not particularly genuine, and I doubt that the consultation would be genuine unless we open it up.
Why don't we just go with
And frankly, I think the notion of asking the government as one council to extend the submission period is not going to get us anywhere, and I don't see that A equates with B. You can't have one or the other.